Shabankar Banerjee draws attention to our connection with the natural world.
I am a creature of this earth. I am a part of a much larger whole. And I'm sharing this earth with innumerable number of species, some which we get to see, most of which I do not get to see. But it's changing rapidly. Species are going extinct faster than any time in the history of the planet. Cultures are struggling all over the world.
One of the, most interesting changes oftentimes in our natural environment are migrations. What interests you about migrations?
I'll tell you a story. I'm a storyteller, that I have been working in the Arctic for 16 years now. When I first went there, the region is so far, it's remote, it's disconnected from our daily lives. But very quickly I began to learn that I, as a New Mexico resident, have a direct connection. There are birds that are going from New Mexico, Bosque del Apache National Wildlife Refuge, Valle de Oro National Wildlife Refuge, to the Arctic, where they nest, raise their young, feed, then come back, spend the winter here. And I was most surprised to find out that a bird outside of my childhood city, Calcutta, called yellow wagtail, goes to the same place. I was totally fascinated that this remote place in the Arctic, say the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge, is connected to every land and ocean on the planet, all 6 continents, all of the 50 states of the US. So when we think about being connected globally, we only get the economic model, that it's trade, it's economics. We don't think about how nature connects us in a beautiful, celebratory way.
So how does color enter into this?
The Arctic, anywhere you ask people, in Argentina, in Africa, in India, say, what does it look like? People will say, well, it's white. Or Amazon, it's green. Or New Mexico, they'll say brown, right? But it's also is a political thing that the Arctic, Alaskan Arctic, the American Arctic have variously been described by different members of the US cabinets, Congress as flat, white nothingness, frozen wasteland of snow and ice, barren wasteland. So I started thinking that color could be potentially a language for me through which I could approach the idea of unlearning these intolerances. So it's both helped me slow down to think about aesthetics in a more serious manner, but also bring the biological, the cultural, the political, the economic elements slowly into the work entirely through color.
I'm fascinated by this idea that the diversity of color or lack thereof equates to the diversity of life or lack thereof, depending upon who's telling the story.
Exactly, because for a long time we have thought of the desert as is wasteland, brown, dry, right? But here we know, we live in New Mexico, we know how, it has all the colors in different seasons. And color goes with, like you said, with diversity of life. So when you're just thinking very carefully about just working with one color or 2 color, you're slowly bringing in varieties of relations. So it's not just a jumble of color that you throw in there. So it's almost like a painter's palette for me.
How do you know what you're going to photograph when you set out?
I never know. All my work is always place-based, based in geography, based in places, going to a place to learn. So it becomes a total immersion. And through that process of immersion, then ideas and experiences kind of become like DNA strands for me, and over time ideas emerge, over time aesthetics emerge, over time various possibilities that this place can tell us emerges.
Can you talk a little about the pinon tree?
Yeah, pinon is New Mexico state tree. People of the Southwest, various indigenous cultures have depended on pinon because the nuts is very rich in protein. But also birds depend on it and varieties of animals just because it's very rich in protein, right? It's a great nutrient. But between 2001 and 2006, estimated to be about more than 50 million pinon, about 90% of mature pinon in northern New Mexico died, which scientists later attributed to a bark beetle infestation. So I was actually in that project where I live, I hope to know, I walked 4 years in a 5-mile radius around my home. That's all I did. And I was photographing these dead pinon trees, not as a sort of just as mourning, but both to kind of address this epic loss that has taken place, but also look for signs of renewal. Because in a dead pinon tree, you might have several species of birds nesting because they dig holes, and then it becomes a home for these birds. So the project became, yes, it's about death, but it's also about renewal, but it's also about responsibility. This is what is happening to our planet. We need to acknowledge it, but how do we then collectively work together and use art as a medium of transformation?
Why is it important to think about those natural connections?
We are stewards of this planet, of the resources we have, not just exploiters of it. Yes, we do need these resources for us to survive, but we are also stewards. So when we think about like migration as a theme that connects us, we think emotively, we feel for these other species with which we share this earth.
What are you looking for?
I do not know. I do not even have the direct answer to your question. But my hope is that as artists, as citizens, as ethical beings, loss is taking place. We are going through in the midst of the 6th extinction. The cultural loss is taking place. Indigenous cultures are being bombarded with resource extraction projects all over the world. They're losing their languages, they're losing their land and water resources. I'm aware of that. But I don't think of myself as a documentarian. I don't have that urge. My whole goal is to kind of do something a little bit that may help us slow down.
Why art?
It connects us emotionally. It connects us in a layered manner, in a complex manner, not just sentimental, something more than that. As soon as we start feeling, then we start raising questions, then we get more engaged, then we become curious. So art makes us like child. What is a child about? What does the attribute that child has? Curiosity. Art makes us curious. So it makes us kids again.